He had never believed in miracles. He believed in hard work, in bills paid on time, in meals you earned with calloused hands. He believed, above all, in his little girl's laugh, a bright, reckless thing that had filled their small apartment for 8 years before sickness took her. Her name was Amara. He named her after the sunrise his mother used to talk about. After the funeral, he planted a small wooden cross at the cemetery, wrapped with ribbon. He returned every Sunday. He stood at the headstone and talked until his voice grew raw, telling Amara about taxes, about the sweater in the drawer, about ordinary days. He kept a journal of things he wanted to tell her and read the pages aloud sometimes, letting the words float into the cold air. Months passed. The ground at Amara's grave rose a little higher than the others. He blamed winter settling maintenance. He smoothed the soil and found it strangely warm. He pried at the weeds and discovered small tokens half buried: a faded ribbon, a child's marble, a pencil stub. Ordinary things arranged as if 1,000 small hands had left them in a pattern only they could see. He complained to the cemetery caretaker. The old man blinked and said, "People leave things. Keeps the place warm." The town began to notice. Neighbors patted his shoulder. Children whispered as they passed the fence. The soil kept rising as if someone were piling pieces of the world to build a little hill for her. One afternoon, a girl no older than 13 approached him in the rain with a heavy bag. She introduced herself as Lila. "We come," she said. "We bring things." She liked marbles. She pressed a single marble into the soil and patted it with tenderness that made his chest ache. More people came. A baker left a stale croissant wrapped like a feast. An elderly woman left tangled embroidery threads. Teenagers left tiny notes. "I'm sorry, thank you." The items were small but not empty. Each carried a story or a gratitude he had not known Amara had earned. A gray-haired woman told him Amara had taught her grandson to tie his shoes. A delivery man said Amara had comforted a stray dog. A teacher said she had slipped a boy a note in class that said, "You are not alone." The stories threaded a portrait of a child kinder and braver than he had imagined. One night he opened his journal and found a note in Amara's slanted letters he'd never seen. "I saved coins," it read, "for a garden. For people who have no place to sit. For a bench. For a tree. Don't be angry. Love." He had known she liked shiny things, but not that she planned a garden. Neighbors who remembered her small acts pooled coins. Teenagers with scraped knees handed him crumpled bills with a clumsy ceremony. They wanted to finish what Amara had started. He tried to refuse. Each small hand that pressed money into his palm seemed to say, "You must. You're the keeper now." Together they built something the town needed: a bench painted blue and a sapling beside it. A plaque carved with a child's handwriting read, "In memory of Amara, who taught us to be brave." The bench stood by the market where the world moved with gentle noise, where old men told jokes that made nobody laugh but everyone listen. People still visited the cemetery. They left marbles and ribbons at the grave, but they also came to the bench. The mound did not stop growing because gratitude did not stop. It grew into the town, into meals shared and stories repeated. The grave's rising became proof that grief can be a seedbed for good. On the morning the bench was unveiled, he walked there with mud on his shoes. Children clustered at his feet. Lila climbed onto the bench and leaned against him as if she'd always belonged there. A woman handed him a photograph of Amara drawing stars with a stick on a rainy day. He smiled and felt a salt burn behind his eyes. When he read the plaque aloud, his voice broke. He closed his eyes and for a moment felt her hand slip into his the way it had during storms. The whole town listened. They let the silence fold over them like a blanket. Later the sun slanted low and he walked to the cemetery. Tiny flowers peppered the soil like stars. He knelt and placed his palm on the earth. "You did this," he whispered. A little boy handed him a puddle-smashed paper boat and said, "She taught me to fold it right." A tired mother said, "She was my courage when I started work after my husband left." A widow told him Amara had braided her hair before a funeral and told her she was beautiful. He had measured his life by losses and failures, counting alone when he should have looked for treasures in hidden places. The grave had grown because a town had taken a child's goodness and multiplied it. The truth washed over him. His daughter had not merely been loved, she had been needed. He burst into tears, not only for empty sweaters and quiet rooms, but because in the soil rising there was an answer to the ache: legacy. Not the cold kind you sign your name on, but the living kind that keeps growing after your hands are gone. He let grief and gratitude meet and felt a peace that tasted like salt and sun. Amara's grave kept growing because love kept being added. As long as people remembered her small brave acts, the mound would never be just earth. It would be a story, a shelter, a bench where the tired could sit. He stood, fingers curled in the grass, and promised, "I will keep it. I will keep them all." The town answered with another ribbon, another marble, another small, ordinary miracle. Every Sunday from then on he went to two places, a bench that smelled of paint and sugar and a grave that kept growing. Both were full of voices, thanks, laughter, tears, and both carried the same message his little girl had taught him without knowing. Kindness, once planted, keeps growing long after those who planted it are gone.